What if I told you there's an island where evolution took a completely different path? A place where a wild pig grows tusks that pierce through its own face, where a tiny buffalo quietly disappears into dense rainforest, where a bird buries its eggs in hot volcanic sand, then walks away forever, and where a palm-sized primate with enormous eyes becomes the silent hunter of the night. These creatures don't belong to different continents. They all share the same extraordinary home, an island unlike anywhere else on Earth. That island is Sulawesi. From above, Sulawesi hardly resembles any ordinary island. Some see the shape of a broken letter, K. Others compare it to a giant octopus stretching its arms into the surrounding seas. But its unusual outline is only the beginning of an even greater mystery. Hidden beneath towering mountains, ancient rainforests, and thousands of kilometers of rugged coastline, lies one of the most remarkable biodiversity hotspots on the planet. Many of the animals living here exist nowhere else in the wild. For millions of years, they evolved in isolation, adapting to an environment unlike any other, until they became species found only on this island. To scientists, Sulawesi is far more than just another tropical island. It is a living laboratory of evolution, a place where nature has been conducting one of its longest and most fascinating experiments. At first glance, Sulawesi may seem like just another tropical island in Southeast Asia, but beneath its lush forests lies a story that has fascinated scientists for more than a century. A story written not by humans, but by the slow movement of continents, the rise of mountains, and millions of years of evolution. To understand why Sulawesi is so unique, we first need to understand an invisible line that divides two biological worlds. This invisible boundary is known as the Wallace Line. In the mid-1800s, British naturalist Alfred Russel Wallace traveled across the Indonesian archipelago, documenting its extraordinary wildlife. During his expedition, he noticed something remarkable. Neighboring islands, sometimes separated by only a narrow stretch of sea, were home to completely different animals. On islands to the west, forests were filled with familiar Asian wildlife. Monkeys swung through the trees. Elephants and tigers roamed the land. Orangutans thrived in the dense rainforest. But just beyond this invisible boundary, the wildlife changed dramatically. Marsupials became common. Birds of paradise replaced hornbills. The animal kingdom seemed to transform almost overnight. Wallace realized this wasn't a coincidence. An unseen biological border separated two ancient worlds. To the west lay the ecosystems of Asia. To the east stretched the wildlife of Australia and New Guinea. And standing directly between them was Sulawesi. Unlike its neighboring islands, Sulawesi doesn't truly belong to either side. Its wildlife shares characteristics with both regions, yet many species are found nowhere else on Earth. It's neither fully Asian nor fully Australian. Instead, Sulawesi became a world of its own, an evolutionary crossroads where isolation gave nature the freedom to experiment. For millions of years, deep oceans surrounded the island like an enormous natural fortress. Even during periods when sea levels dropped dramatically, these waters remained too deep for most large land animals to cross. No tigers arrived from Asia, No kangaroos migrated from Australia. The creatures already living on Sulawesi were left to evolve on their own, generation after generation. Species slowly adapted to their unique environment, eventually becoming unlike anything found elsewhere on the planet. Today, this remarkable island is recognized as one of Earth's greatest centers of endemic biodiversity. Every expedition into its forests still carries the possibility of discovering species unknown to science. Sulawesi is more than an island. It is a living archive of evolution. A place where nature continues to reveal secrets that have remained hidden for millions of years. But isolation alone doesn't explain everything. The island itself is a maze of towering mountains, deep valleys, dense rainforests, and rugged coastlines. These dramatic landscapes created countless isolated habitats, each one shaping life in its own extraordinary way. And that is where the next chapter of Sulawesi's story begins. Most islands are shaped by a single mountain range or a continuous stretch of forest. Sulawesi is different. Its landscape is a complex puzzle of towering mountains, narrow peninsulas, deep bays, and isolated valleys. Each region is separated by natural barriers that have divided wildlife for millions of years, instead of one vast ecosystem. Sulawesi became a collection of many smaller worlds. As the island slowly rose from the collision of ancient tectonic plates, its rugged terrain transformed the landscape. Mountain ridges blocked the movement of animals. Deep valleys isolated entire populations. Dense forests became natural fortresses where species evolved independently from one another. Even animals living only a few hundred kilometers apart could follow completely different evolutionary paths. Nature wasn't simply creating new habitats, it was creating new opportunities for evolution itself. Across the island, every habitat tells a different story. The lowland rainforests are filled with towering tropical trees whose dense canopies block much of the sunlight from reaching the forest floor. Hidden beneath these ancient forests roam elusive mammals that rarely reveal themselves to humans. Higher into the mountains, the air becomes cooler and wrapped in mist. Cloud forests replace towering jungle. Here, smaller creatures thrive in an environment shaped by moisture, moss, and silence. Beyond the forests, Sulawesi's volcanic coastline creates yet another extraordinary habitat. Along stretches of warm black sand, geothermal heat rises from beneath the Earth's surface. Most animals would avoid such intense heat. But one remarkable bird has turned it into an advantage. Instead of building nests in trees, it buries its eggs deep underground, allowing the warmth of the earth itself to incubate the next generation. Every ecosystem on Sulawesi is connected in ways that are often invisible. A fruit-eaten bird carries seeds across the forest, helping new trees take root miles away. A tiny nocturnal hunter controls insect populations that might otherwise overwhelm the ecosystem. Large mammals disturb the forest floor as they forage, creating opportunities for new plants to grow. Every species plays a role. Every movement shapes the future of the forest. Remove even one of these animals, and the balance begins to shift. This delicate web of life has been evolving for millions of years. It is not built around a single species. It survives because every organism, large or small, depends on countless others. That is what makes Sulawesi one of the most extraordinary ecosystems on Earth. Among all of Sulawesi's remarkable wildlife, one animal stands out more than any other. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary wild pig, but a closer look reveals something almost unbelievable. Its tusks don't grow outward, they grow upward, piercing through its own snout in one of the strangest evolutionary adaptations ever seen. This is the incredible story of the babirusa. Imagine walking through the dense rainforest of Sulawesi. The forest is quiet. Only the sound of dripping leaves and distant birds echoes through the trees. Then, out of the shadows, a strange figure slowly appears. At first, it looks like a wild pig, but something is terribly different. Two enormous tusks rise upward through the top of its snout, curving back toward its forehead. They look almost as if they're growing into its own skull. It seems impossible. Yet this is no myth. This is one of the rarest mammals on Earth, the babirusa. What is a babirusa? The name babirusa comes from the Malay words babi, meaning pig, and rusa, meaning deer. Early explorers believed the animal looked like a strange combination of both. Its body resembles a wild pig, but its long curved tusks reminded people of a deer's antlers. In reality, however, the babirusa belongs to the pig family. And despite its unusual appearance, it has no close resemblance to deer at all. It is a species found only on a handful of Indonesian islands, with Sulawesi being its primary home. Nowhere else on Earth has evolution produced an animal quite like it. The mystery of its tusks. The babirusa's most extraordinary feature is its tusks. Unlike those of wild boars, the upper canine teeth don't grow downward. Instead, they grow upward. They pierce directly through the skin of the snout before curving backward toward the animal's forehead. The lower tusks grow outward and upward, creating an appearance unlike any other mammal alive today. At first glance, these tusks seem like deadly weapons, but surprisingly, they are rarely used in serious combat. Why do they have them? For many years, scientists debated the purpose of these bizarre tusks. Some believed they protected the face during fights. Others thought they helped the animal dig for food. But closer observation revealed a different story. The tusks are actually quite fragile. A powerful impact can easily crack or break them. So why would evolution favor such an unusual feature? The answer may lie in sexual selection. Much like the elaborate tail feathers of a peacock, a male babirusa's tusks may serve as a visual display of strength, maturity, and genetic quality. The larger and more impressive the tusks, the more attractive the male may appear to potential mates. Sometimes, survival isn't only about defeating predators, it's also about winning the attention of the next generation, a dangerous gift of evolution. Ironically, the babirusa's greatest ornament can also become its greatest danger. Its upper tusks never stop growing. In the wild, they gradually wear down through daily activity and occasional breakage. But if they fail to wear away, they continue curving inward. In extreme cases, they can eventually grow back toward the skull and injure the animal itself. It is one of the most extraordinary examples of how evolution sometimes produces traits that are both beneficial and potentially harmful. Role in the forest. Despite its unusual appearance, the babirusa is an important part of Sulawesi's ecosystem. As it searches for fallen fruit, roots, and other food, It disturbs the forest floor. This natural digging helps mix nutrients into the soil. Many of the fruits it consumes contain seeds that survive digestion. Those seeds are later deposited throughout the forest, allowing new trees to grow far from the parent plant. Even the muddy wallows the babirusa creates become valuable habitats for insects, amphibians, and other forest animals. Its influence extends far beyond its own survival. Conservation. Today, the babirusa faces growing threats. Deforestation continues to shrink its habitat. Illegal hunting has also reduced wild populations across parts of its range. Although protected by law, this remarkable animal remains vulnerable. Losing the babirusa would mean more than the disappearance of an extraordinary species. It would mean losing another irreplaceable piece of Sulawesi's ancient evolutionary story. But the babirusa isn't the only mammal that evolved in isolation here. Hidden deep within the rainforest lives another remarkable survivor. Small, shy, and rarely seen. It resembles a miniature buffalo, yet it has mastered life inside one of Southeast Asia's most challenging forests. This is the story of the anoa. Deep within Sulawesi's rainforests, where sunlight barely reaches the forest floor, another remarkable survivor quietly moves through the shadows. Unlike the noisy monkeys above the canopy, or the strange babirusa wandering through muddy trails, this animal prefers to remain unseen. It avoids confrontation. It travels alone, and if it senses danger, it vanishes into the dense vegetation, almost without a sound. Meet the anoa, often called the world's smallest wild buffalo. A miniature buffalo. At first glance, the anoa resembles a scaled-down version of the water buffalo. Standing only about 1 meter tall at the shoulder, it is far smaller than any buffalo most people have ever seen. Its compact body is covered with dark brown or black fur, giving it perfect camouflage beneath the rainforest canopy. Both males and females carry short, sharp horns that point slightly backward. Though modest in size, these horns are powerful weapons when the anoa has no choice but to defend itself. But despite its strength, the anoa is not an aggressive animal. Its greatest defense has always been remaining hidden. A life of solitude. Unlike many hoofed mammals that travel in large herds, the anoa lives a solitary life. Most adults spend their days alone, quietly moving through the forest in search of food. Only during the breeding season do males and females come together. For the rest of the year, the rainforest belongs to each individual alone. This solitary lifestyle helps reduce competition for food and makes it easier to remain undetected by predators. In a forest where survival depends on caution, silence is often the greatest advantage. What does the anoa eat? The anoa is a strict herbivore. Its diet consists of young leaves, shoots, grasses, fallen fruit, ferns, and tender plants growing beneath the rainforest canopy. As it feeds, it constantly wanders through the forest, browsing from one patch of vegetation to another. When temperatures rise, the anoa often seeks out rivers, swamps, or muddy pools. Rolling in cool mud helps regulate its body temperature while also protecting its skin from insects and parasites. Once refreshed, it quietly disappears back into the forest once again. Raising the next generation. Anoas reproduce slowly. After a pregnancy lasting around 10 months, a female usually gives birth to just a single calf. For the first months of its life, the young anoa stays close to its mother. Every step through the forest becomes a lesson. It learns which plants are safe to eat, where to find water, and how to recognize danger long before it arrives. These early lessons are essential because one day, The young anoa will leave to live alone, just as its parents did. The anoa's hidden importance. Although rarely seen, the anoa plays a vital role in maintaining the rainforest. As it feeds on fruits, it disperses seeds across wide areas of the forest. Many plants depend on animals like the anoa to spread the next generation of trees. Its movements also create narrow paths through dense vegetation. These natural trails are later used by countless smaller animals moving through the undergrowth. Even after death, its body returns nutrients to the soil, supporting insects, fungi, and countless microscopic organisms that keep the forest alive. The anoa may live in solitude, but its impact reaches every corner of the ecosystem, a species under threat. Today, the anoa faces an uncertain future. Expanding agriculture, illegal logging, and habitat fragmentation continue to reduce the forests it depends on. Poaching remains another serious threat, despite legal protection. Because the anoa reproduces so slowly, recovering lost populations takes decades. Every individual matters. Protecting the anoa means protecting one of the oldest rainforests in Southeast Asia, and the countless species that share it. But among all of Sulawesi's remarkable animals, perhaps none has a life cycle more extraordinary than the next. It doesn't build a nest in the trees. It doesn't sit on its eggs. Instead, it entrusts the heat of the earth itself to bring its young into the world. This is the incredible story of the maleo. Along the remote coastlines of Sulawesi, where volcanic heat rises beneath the sand and the tropical sun beats down relentlessly, a remarkable ritual unfolds. A pair of birds arrives, not to build a nest, not to gather twigs, and not to incubate their eggs. Instead, they begin digging. With powerful legs, they excavate a deep pit in the warm sand. When the hole is finally ready, the female lays a single enormous egg. Moments later, both parents carefully cover it with sand, turn around, and leave, never to return. This extraordinary bird is known as the maleo, and its parenting strategy is unlike anything else in the avian world. A bird found nowhere else. The maleo is found only on the island of Sulawesi. With its glossy black feathers, pale underparts, long legs, and distinctive helmet-like crest, it is instantly recognizable. Standing about 55 centimeters tall, it is not the largest bird in Indonesia. Yet what makes the maleo truly remarkable has nothing to do with its appearance. Its greatest mystery lies beneath the ground. The giant egg. For a bird of its size, the maleo lays one of the largest eggs on Earth. A single egg can weigh nearly 5 times more than a chicken egg. In fact, compared to the mother's body size, few birds invest as much energy into producing a single offspring. Why such an enormous egg? Because everything the chick needs for survival is packed inside. The extra nutrients allow the young bird to develop almost completely before hatching. By the time it emerges, it is already covered in feathers. Its muscles are fully developed, and within just a few hours, it is capable of running and even flying. Nature's incubator. Unlike most birds, maleos never sit on their eggs. Instead, they rely on something far older than parental care: the earth itself. They carefully choose nesting sites where the sand is naturally warmed by geothermal activity or intense tropical sunlight. The temperature must remain remarkably stable. Too cold, and the embryo may never develop. Too hot, and it could perish before hatching. For millions of years, the maleo has perfected this extraordinary partnership with nature. The ground becomes the incubator. The sun becomes the caretaker. The long goodbye. After burying the egg deep beneath the sand, sometimes more than a meter below the surface, the parent's job is finished. There is no nest to guard, no feeding, no protection from predators, no family reunion. The chick will never meet its mother or father. Its entire future depends on instincts written into its DNA over countless generations. It is one of the most dramatic examples of independence in the animal kingdom. The first test of life. Around 2 months later, deep beneath the sand, a tiny crack appears. The young maleo begins its journey. But hatching is only the beginning. Above it lies nearly a meter of compact sand. Driven entirely by instinct, the chick starts digging upward, hour after hour. Sometimes for days, it pushes through the heavy sand grain by grain. No parent waits above. No one comes to help. Only determination keeps it moving. Finally, sunlight breaks through. For the very first time, the young bird sees the world. Born, ready to survive. Most baby birds are helpless. They depend entirely on their parents for warmth, food, and protection. The maleo is different. Within hours of reaching the surface, it can already run with surprising speed. Its wings are strong enough for short flights. It immediately begins searching for insects, seeds, and fallen fruit on its own. From the very first day of life, it is completely independent. Few birds on Earth mature so quickly. A fragile future. Despite its incredible adaptations, the maleo now faces serious threats. Many traditional nesting beaches have disappeared due to human development. Its eggs, prized for their unusually large size, have long been collected by people. Predators also take a heavy toll before chicks can safely reach the forest. Today, conservation teams work tirelessly to protect nesting grounds and relocate vulnerable eggs to secure hatcheries. Every successful hatchling represents hope for the future of one of the world's most extraordinary birds. As daylight slowly fades over Sulawesi, the forest begins to change. The songs of daytime birds grow silent. Insects awaken. Shadows stretch beneath the towering trees. And somewhere in the darkness, two enormous eyes suddenly open. They belong to one of the smallest primates on Earth, a tiny nocturnal hunter known as the tarsier. As darkness settles over the forests of Sulawesi, the daytime world slowly disappears. Birdsong fades into silence. The last rays of sunlight vanish beneath the canopy, and a completely different community begins to awaken. Hidden among tangled vines and slender tree trunks, a pair of enormous eyes suddenly catches the moonlight, motionless, watching, waiting. Then, in the blink of an eye, the tiny creature launches through the darkness with astonishing precision. This is the tarsier, one of the smallest primates on Earth, and one of the rainforest's most remarkable nighttime hunters. Built for the night. At first glance, the tarsier looks almost unreal. Its body measures only about 10 to 15 centimeters long, small enough to fit comfortably in the palm of your hand. Yet despite its tiny size, one feature immediately stands out: its eyes. Each eye is nearly as large as its brain. In proportion to its body, no other mammal has eyes this enormous. These oversized eyes aren't simply for appearance. They allow the tarsier to gather every possible ray of light, giving it exceptional night vision. In the darkness where many animals struggle to see, the tarsier sees with remarkable clarity. The hunter that never misses. Unlike most primates, the tarsier isn't interested in fruit. It doesn't spend its nights searching for berries or leaves. Instead, it is a dedicated predator. Its menu includes insects, grasshoppers, crickets, moths, spiders, small lizards, and occasionally even tiny birds. Every hunt begins the same way. The tarsier remains perfectly still. Its enormous eyes scan every movement, the slightest twitch of a leaf, the faintest vibration on a branch. Nothing escapes its attention. Then suddenly, it leaps, the master of the leap. Although incredibly small, the tarsier possesses remarkably powerful hind legs. These long limbs function like tightly compressed springs. With a single explosive jump, it can launch itself several meters through the forest. For an animal of its size, that would be like a human leaping across an entire city street in one bound. Its long fingers instantly wrap around branches. Its sharp grip prevents even the fastest prey from escaping. Every movement is precise. Every landing is controlled. Every jump is calculated. In the darkness, the tarsier is an almost perfect hunter, a head that moves like an owl. One challenge comes with having such enormous eyes. Unlike human eyes, the tarsier's eyes cannot rotate inside their sockets. Instead of moving its eyes, it moves its entire head. Its flexible neck allows it to rotate nearly 180 degrees in either direction. Without moving the rest of its body, it can silently watch almost everything happening around it. This ability gives the tarsier a huge advantage. Predators remain unaware. Prey rarely notices it, and the hunter stays perfectly hidden. A different kind of primate. Most people associate primates with fruit-eating monkeys or gentle apes. The tarsier breaks every expectation. It is one of the very few entirely carnivorous primates on Earth. Its survival depends on speed, accuracy, and patience. Every successful hunt helps control insect populations throughout the rainforest. Without predators like the tarsier, countless insects could multiply unchecked, placing enormous pressure on the forest ecosystem. Even this tiny animal plays an essential role in maintaining nature's balance. The language of the night. Although they often appear solitary, tarsiers are surprisingly social. Small family groups share sleeping sites inside tree hollows or dense vegetation during the day. When night falls, they communicate using a variety of high-pitched calls. Some of these sounds are audible to humans. Others rise into ultrasonic frequencies beyond the limits of human hearing. To us, the forest may seem silent, but for the tarsier, the night is filled with conversations. Calls help family members stay connected, warn of danger, and defend territories from rivals. The darkness is anything but quiet. A future at risk. Like many of Sulawesi's endemic animals, the tarsier faces increasing threats. Deforestation continues to fragment its habitat. As forests shrink into isolated patches, family groups become separated. Road construction and expanding agriculture make survival even more difficult. Protecting the tarsier means protecting the ancient forests that countless other species also depend upon. Because once the forest disappears, the ghost of the night disappears with it.